Welcome back, everybody, and happy Halloween. I was out of town over the weekend. I think I had mentioned previously in a previous video, I was training for another marathon, so I was been really busy over the course of the last couple months. Well, that marathon was this weekend out in Indianapolis, Indiana, so I was down there on Saturday and ran the race. As you can see, there's the finisher medal. This was the 17th time I've completed a marathon, the third time I completed this marathon. This one was a little more difficult for me than in previous years, coming off of a lot of injuries in the last few weeks prior to the actual race. So I was happy just to be able to complete it, and the time is what it is. I think it's pretty good for me not really being able to run much over the course of the last 4 weeks and being injured. So overall, it was a pretty good experience. If you're a marathon runner, Indianapolis is a flat course. If you haven't had a chance to go to it before, it's late fall, so it's usually good weather for it. The weather was in the low 50s throughout the entirety of the race and was overcast for most of it. Very light breeze at points during the course, but that was something that was very not even really noticeable. It was actually kind of welcome because it helped keep us kind of cool as we were traversing throughout the city and neighborhoods surrounding Indianapolis. So the medical medals there in the background. I also went up to, after that, we went up to Western Michigan on a brief vacation. Got home this morning, so I wanted to kind of show you a few things I was able to pick up because we went to antique malls yesterday. So we went to some antique malls that were around where we were staying in Holland, Michigan, if you're familiar with that area. It's not as far north as Traverse City, if you're familiar with it, and it's on the completely other side of Michigan, of Detroit, Michigan. So it's all the way over by Lake Michigan. From where I live, it's about a 3-hour-ish kind of drive there, so it's actually kind of a nice place. And it was only about 3.5 hours from Indianapolis to get there for us, so it was a nice little weekend away. So last time I was there, I did stop in a few antique malls and saw that they had some baseball cards, and that was about 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And so I wanted to stop in there again and see if they still had some baseball cards, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I stopped at first at one in Saugatuck, which is just south of where we were staying. It was actually attached to, not attached, but it was right next door to actually Saugatuck Brewery, so that's a kind of a fun place where you can get a beer. And then go antiquing if you want, or go antiquing first and then go and get a beer. I went in there, and as you can imagine, they had all kinds of things in the antique mall, but I was very hyper-focused on trying to find baseball-related items, specifically baseball cards. And the first mall I went into, I was actually pleasantly surprised to stumble upon a booth where this guy had plenty of autographed items, and a few autographed cards that were actually graded and certified. A lot of the autographed items they had were big pictures and posters and things like that, and large photographs. So things I just don't really have a space for at this time in where I live, so I kind of passed on them, but there was definitely some cool ones in there. And I didn't recognize the certification company, even though I guess this guy sells on YouTube quite a bit. Or not YouTube, on eBay. So he has a lot of things posted on eBay, and I guess he is able to do certification through something called like Vintage Certified or something like that. So I wasn't familiar with it, so I wasn't necessarily comfortable kind of just going out there and purchasing autographs, pictures and stuff, mostly because of the space, not so much because of the certification. But they did have some PSA certified autographs in there, and this is the one I kind of picked up. It was a 1961 Fleer, Charlie Gehringer. So what's kind of interesting about this is Gehringer's been dead for 30 years, even though he did sign quite a bit in his time later on in the 80s and 90s before he passed. He was associated with the Tigers for many, many, many years in many different capacities, but probably mostly known as a Hall of Fame second baseman during their times where they won the World Series in the 1930s and appeared in the World Series, I think, over the course of 3 times while he was with the team during his time from the late to early mid-20s, I should say, all the way into 1942 when his career ended. He was signed by Ty Cobb and played with the Detroit Tigers up until the time he entered into the military during World War II. So this is just a beautiful signature of him that he had here, and you can see it's like PSA DNA certified, so I was very happy with it. So I was really, really happy to be able to pick this up. He's also a Michigan native and kind of a Michigan legend, so I was kind of really pleased to see that they had an autograph here from one of the big names in Detroit Tigers history, so I was happy to be able to pick it up. Here's what the back of the cards look like if you've never looked at a 1961 Fleer card. So very happy to be able to put that in my collection. We'll put it up here in the background as I show you a few more things. That was all that I picked up at that store, and then we went back to Holland and I was able to pick up a few more items there. There was a lot more baseball card related stuff in there in Holland, but I would say the high-end stuff was more in that one booth I saw that was in Saugatuck. So let me show you what I got there. So the first thing I was able to pick up was another graded card. This is not an autograph card, but it is a graded rookie card of Jim Kaat. He is actually from that area. He's from a place called Zeeland, Michigan, which is right next to where I was staying in Holland, Michigan. So that was kind of interesting. I didn't know that at that time, but here is his 1960 Topps card, a card you've seen on my channel before because I got the card autographed not too long ago at the Chicago Sports Spectacular in March. I decided to just pull that one out real quick so you can kind of see the cards side by side here real quick. One graded and then one autographed. Again, I'm really pleased with that autograph. It really kind of pops on the card. So here is the graded card, and we'll just stick the autograph next to Spider-Man here in the corner, so you can kind of have them side by side. If I can get it to stand up right. So it might tilt over, so I'll just put it off to the side. And then there, I went through a couple other booths that they had there, and I picked up, someone had a box of 1959 Topps singles. I wasn't expecting to see anything because the cards that were at the front of the box were dinged up common cards and nothing that really kind of stood out to me as ones I wanted to be able to get. But I thought, well, let me look through the box and see what I might be able to find. Maybe there's something hiding in there, and there sure was. There was a Larry Doby card in there. So this is his last Topps card when he was with the Detroit Tigers. That's just something that's on the case itself. Pretty good condition card. There's a little bit of like rounding on 3 of the 4 corners. But otherwise, really good center, good registration. Yeah, I liked everything about the card as it kind of popped out there. You can see him right there. I think that is Detroit. And I look at it, I believe that is Detroit. At first, I thought it may have been him in a White Sox uniform when he was briefly with the White Sox. And then later was then acquired again by Cleveland shortly before he went on to play for the Detroit Tigers and in his career and entered into coaching thereafter. And then the other one I picked out of the same box was a Red Shandies. The only thing wrong with this one is the centering. The card is pretty sharp in any other way you want to be able to kind of look at it, and great registration on there too. So happy to be able to pick up those 2 bargain Hall of Famers, I felt. And the final thing I picked up was an autograph. Actually, it was a modern autograph out of 5-star. It's a 5-star from 2013 of Jim Kaat. So, and it was reasonably priced on there, so I couldn't turn it down. It was numbered out of 333. I think it's the most common of the autographed items within that product. But I'm happy to pick it up because it costs, I think, less than $25 to be able to pick up the autograph of a Hall of Fame pitcher. So that is what I got. I had a good time being able to go through the stores that day. I hope you guys enjoyed what I got. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions, you want to know a little bit more about the antique stores that I went to. If you're happen to be in the area in Western Michigan in the next few months, feel free to kind of stop by those places. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy Halloween, and I'll be back this weekend.